Time to warm up. Look at the pictures. What is common in these persons? Time to know. In the early 19th century, many Indians realized the need for purging the Indian society of the ills that had crept into it. Social evils like the caste system, polygamy, sati, and child marriages had divided the Indian society and made it backward. Reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Syed Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Syed Ahmed Khan, Dayanand Saraswati, and Sri Narayana Guru started movements aimed at ending social inequalities and promoting education. They felt that without this change in society, India would not be able to unite and fight the British. The religious and social reform of India, the Indian Renaissance, the urgent need for social and religious reform that began to manifest itself from the early decades of the 19th century arose in response to the contact with Western culture and education. The weakness and decay of Indian society was evident to educated Indians who started to work systematically for their removal. They were no longer willing to accept the traditions, beliefs, and practices of Hindu society simply because they had been observed for centuries. The impact of Western ideas gave birth to new awakening. The change that took place in the Indian social scenario is popularly known as the Renaissance. Raja Ram Mohan Roy. The central figure of this cultural awakening was Raja Ram Mohan Roy, known as the father of the Indian Renaissance. Ram Mohan Roy was a great patriot, scholar, and humanist. He was moved by deep love for the country and worked throughout his life for the social, religious, intellectual, and political regeneration of the Indians. Social reforms. In 1814, Ram Mohan Roy settled in Calcutta and dedicated his life to the cause of social and religious reform. As a social reformer, Ram Mohan Roy fought relentlessly against social evils like sati, polygamy, child marriage, female infanticide, and caste discrimination. He organized a movement against the inhuman custom of sati and helped William Bentinck to pass a law banning the practice. 1829. It was the first successful social movement against an age-old. Religious reforms. Ram Mohan Roy struggled persistently against social evils. He argued that ancient Hindu texts, the Vedas and Upanishads, upheld the doctrine of monotheism. To prove his point, he translated the Vedas and 5 Upanishads into Bengali. In 1829, Ram Mohan Roy founded a new religious society known as the Atmiya Sabha, which later on came to known as the Brahmo Samaj. This religious society was based on the twin pillars of rationalism and the philosophy of the Vedas. The Brahmo Samaj emphasized human dignity, criticized idolatry, and denounced social evils like sati. He set up schools, organized famine relief, and propagated widow remarriage. In 1872, the government passed the Native Civil Marriages Act, legalizing marriages performed according to Brahmo Samaj rites. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, a towering personality of the mid-19th century, was born in a poor Brahmin family of Bengal in 1820. He was a renowned Sanskrit scholar and became the principal of the Sanskrit College in 1851. The Sanskrit College conferred on him the title of Vidyasagar because of his profound knowledge of Sanskrit. Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was both a scholar and a reformer. He was a great humanist and had deep sympathy for the poor and the oppressed. He dedicated his entire life to the cause of social reform, which he thought was necessary for modernizing India. By admitting non-Brahmin students to the Sanskrit College, he dealt a severe blow to the prevalent caste system. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was one of the greatest saints of modern India. Ramakrishna was born in a poor Brahmin family of Bengal. He showed a religious bent of mind from his childhood. He had no formal education, but his discourses were full of wisdom. He was the chief priest of the Kali temple at Dakshineshwar near Calcutta. People from all walks of life visited Dakshineshwar to listen to his discourses. Dayananda Saraswati and the Arya Samaj. Another organization in northern India which aimed to strengthen Hinduism through reform was the Arya Samaj. Dayananda Saraswati, the founder of the Arya Samaj in Rajkot, was born into a Brahmin family in Kathiawar, Gujarat in 1824. At the early age of 14, he rebelled against the practice of idol worship. He ran away from home. At the age of 20, Dayananda Saraswati believed that the Vedas contained the knowledge imparted to men by God, and hence its study alone could solve all social problems. So he propagated the motto back to the Vedas, asserting that Vedas made no mention of untouchability, child marriage, and the subjugation of women. Swami Dayananda attacked these practices vehemently. Reform movements in Western India. Jyoti Rao Govindarao Phule. Jyoti Rao Govindarao Phule prominent role in bringing about reforms in Maharashtra. He fought for improving the condition of women, the poor, and the untouchables. He started a school for the education of girls of the lower castes and founded an association called Satyasodak Samaj. People from all castes and religions were allowed to join the association. He was opposed to the domination of the Brahmins and started the practice of conducting marriages without Brahmin priests. The Paratana Samaj. In 1867, the Paratana Samaj was started in Maharashtra with the aim of reforming Hinduism and preaching the worship of one God. Mahadev Govind Ranade and R.G. Bandrakar were the two great leaders of the Samaj. The Paratana Samaj did in Maharashtra what the Brahmo Samaj did in Bengal. It attacked the caste system and the predominance of the Brahmins, campaigned against child marriage and the Parda system, preached widow remarriage, and emphasized female education. In order to reform Hinduism, Ranade started the Widow Remarriage Association and the Deccan Education Society. In 1887, Ranade founded the National Social Conference with the aim of introducing social reforms throughout the country. Ranade was also one of the founders of the Indian National Congress. Reform movements in South India. The Theosophical Society and Annie Besant. Many Europeans were attracted towards Hindu philosophy. In 1875, a Russian spiritualist named Madame Blavatsky and an American called Colonel Olcott founded the Theosophical Society in America. The society was greatly influenced by the Indian doctrine of karma. In 1886, they founded the Theosophical Society at Adyar, near Madras. Annie Besant, an Irish woman who came to India in 1893, helped the Theosophist movement to gain strength. She propagated Vedic philosophy and urged Indians to take pride in their culture. The Theosophists stood for the revival of the ancient Indian religion and universal brotherhood. Reform movements among the Muslims. Movements for social religious reforms among the Muslims emerged late. Most Muslims feared that Western education would endanger their religion as it was un-Islamic in character. During the first half of the 19th century, only a handful of Muslims had accepted English education. The Muhammadan Literary Society, established by Nawab Abdul Latif in 1863, was one of the earliest institutions that attempted to spread modern education. Abdul Latif also tried to remove social abuses and promote Hindu-Muslim unity. Syed Ahmed Khan, the most important socio-religious movement among the Muslims, came to be known as the Aligarh movement. It was organized by Syed Ahmed Khan, 1817 to 1899. A man described as the most outstanding figure among the Muslims. In 1862, he founded the Scientific Society to translate English books on science and other subjects into Urdu. He also started an English-Urdu journal through which he spread the ideas of social reform. Through his initiative was established the Muhammadan Oriental College, which later developed into the Aligarh Muslim University. It helped to develop a modern outlook among its students. This intellectual movement is called the Aligarh movement. Women reformers. Pandita Ramabai, the British government did not take substantial steps to educate women. Still, by the end of the 19th century, there were several women who had become aware of the need for social reform. Pandita Ramabai has been educated in the United States and in England. She wrote about the unequal treatment meted out to the women of India. She founded the Arya Mahila Sabha in Pune and opened the Sarda Sadan for helping destitute widows. Time to recall. Social evils like the caste system, sati, and child marriages had divided the Indian society. The formation of the Indian National Congress marked the beginning of an organized political movement against the British. Partition of Bengal took place in 1905. On August 15, 1906, a National Council of Education was introduced. Annie Besant, an Irish lady who was a member of the Theosophical Society of India. For formative and summative assessment. Conceptual understanding. Time to answer. Answer the following questions. Why did the reformers promote education? Who were the prominent Indian social reformers during 19th century? Why was the need for a social reform movement felt during 19th century? Who was Raja Ram Mohan Roy? Why was he known as Father of Indian Renaissance? Who started Arya Samaj? Write about it. Who was Jyoti Rao Govinda Rao Phule? and what was his contribution? Write about the characteristics to reform movements of India. Who was A.O. Hume? What was his contribution? Conceptual understanding. Oral questions for FA. Fill up the following blanks using the clue kit. Write yes or no to the following statements. Communication. Can you name the picture? Conceptual understanding. Match the following: Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Dayananda Saraswati, Syed Ahmed Khan, Indian National Congress, Home Rule Movement, Arya Samaj, Aligarh Movement, Brahma Samaj, Annie Besant, A.O. Hume. For formative assessment. Time to do project work. Collect information on Indian social reform movement and people behind it. Write on a chart to display it in the school notice board. Find out the name of the person who wrote the Vande Mataram. Find out its exact words and write them in your notebook. Life skills. Sometimes society becomes full of evils and vices. It is guided by blind faith and superstition. People do not try to know the relation between cause and effect. They believe in imaginary ghosts and spirits as the prime mover of all social actions. They believe in animal sacrifice to please the deities. We have become cultured and educated. Hence, there is no room for blind belief.